Hello there, welcome back to another video. This week we're starting out in Photoshop CC, not CS4. Photoshop CC, actually the Creative Cloud in general, is something that I got with my tuition at school. So I've had the entire Creative Cloud for about a year now, almost, but I haven't really used it much for personal painting projects. Like for school, obviously I have to use a lot of InDesign, a lot of Illustrator. I did have to use Premiere for a couple of things, but I haven't used Premiere to edit these videos because I really can't get comfortable in it yet. I might start doing that at some point, but for now I'm just sticking to iMovie because I'm a creature of habit. But yeah, we're starting out in Photoshop CC because I was working on a painting separate from this, and I was using it in Photoshop CS4 because I usually use Photoshop CS4, and it crashed. And the thing with my computer is when Photoshop crashes, I have to restart the computer, otherwise Photoshop won't open again. But I didn't really feel like restarting my computer, so I switched to Photoshop CC and I thought it was going to be fine, but then later on I kind of got frustrated with some of the differences, and I'll talk about that in a bit, guys, because I probably have time to discuss that, and it's nitpicking my Photoshop things, and when you get really used to something, the absence of that something really stands out. But so yeah, the interface looks a bit different. You have the color picker there showing up, the UI in general is darker than in CS4, and if you can't really tell the difference, I end up using CS4 later on in this video, so you'll be able to see the difference then. But yeah, so this illustration I'm making, it would be clearer. I think I might sandwich the actual thing on top around here because I had it on my phone that I was using for reference rather than having it also be like on the screen side by side, because I thought that if I had it side by side I'd depend on the reference too much, if that makes sense. So basically there's a tag going around. I posted this weeks ago, but on Instagram, but there's a tag going around, and I'll probably do some more of these actually because they're kind of fun, called Draw This in Your Style. And one of the users that I really like to follow on Instagram, her name is Loish, I think that's how you pronounce it. She posted one, and I always kind of admired her lighting and her colours and her characters and stuff like that, so I thought, okay, this is a really good place to start, because I've even when I just did the one, I intended to do multiple. For now I've done this one and I'm sort of halfway done another one, but we'll see if I actually end up finishing, because I'm not quite happy where it's at right now, so I might not finish it. I might just start over, I might pick something else. But yeah, Draw This in Your Style is sort of somebody draws a character or just something in general, and you pick it and you sort of, it's either draw this again challenge, but instead of with your own artwork, it's with somebody else's artwork. And yeah, I've been in a little bit of a idea slump in terms of artwork, so this Draw This in Your Style seemed really appealing, and I kind of really like the all-round aesthetic, and it's this kind of textured hair, and there's even the style of t-shirt or whatever is like something different from what I would usually draw. So I was kind of really excited to try this out, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. And like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but my brother said that he even liked my version of this better than the original, which the original being Loish kind of it floored me. But yeah, her hair is definitely, the way that she drew this hair is so much better. I didn't know what I was doing half the time when I was doing this hair, because it's a texture of hair I've not really, like, I've drawn curly hair and I've drawn pigtails, but I haven't drawn this level of curly before. So when you zoom out, it looks more like what I'd imagine it's supposed to, and I was referencing Loish's original drawing a lot more heavily than I probably should have, because the idea is to draw it in your own style. So that's why I also decided not to kind of have it side by side within the same Photoshop file. I decided to get it from my phone, so that way I wasn't even tempted to eyedropper her colours. I had to kind of eye them myself, but also put my own twist to them. So the biggest thing that I think that I changed from, like, for it to be my style, I guess, is the position of the hands. I kind of put my own twist to them. The face in general, I draw faces sort of different, and then the lighting, because, so I haven't put it in yet, I think I'm going to put it in fairly soon, or maybe after I'm done the eyes. But so in between her hands she has these little flecks of magic, pinky red magic, pinky red orange, magic that she's floating. And then in Loish's original, she has a little kind of hint at the bottom of her chin and underneath her nose of that light kind of reflecting upwards and glowing from her hands and stuff. So I decided to actually push that light. There's the magic, I mean. I decided to push that glow to make it sort of the primary light source. Even like I could have pushed it more around the hair, but I decided to make it taper out a bit more there, like not have it that it's bright but contained sort of. And so especially with the nose, the chin, and underneath the brow, because your brow bone kind of juts out a little bit, so I decided to put the light. I think there I am kind of starting to implement it. It'll get a lot brighter later on, but I started implementing that there, and it's a lot stronger from how Loish had it in her original, but I really kind of like it because I was super proud when I did the little shadow above the nose. It's like, you know, when you put the flashlight underneath your face to tell a spooky story or whatever, it looks creepy because your shadows are all reversed. So illustrating that kind of shadow composition, I haven't really done the under light very often. I think I might have painted it maybe once or twice, or tried to sketch it in a sketchbook, but I don't think I've ever really kind of explored that much. And also, this was another painting where I did overpainting instead of like line art and stuff like that. I did a painting, it's on my Instagram if you want to see it. It was a commission where I did my usual line art, colour line art, half cel shaded, half painterly sort of thing, that whole amalgamation hybrid style that I usually do. It was last weekend. I spent like 2 days on it, and it was like I was very involved in it, like 400%. But then after that, I've been doing shorter, quicker paintings that have been an overpainted style. No proper line art, no color line art, nothing like that. Just overpainting with a layer on top of everything else. And yeah, I'm still kind of settling into this overpainting style. If you guys don't recall, I've been a very loyal person in terms of using line art and stuff like that instead of overpainting. It took me a really long time to actually successfully complete even a single illustration. I think my second proper attempt at overpaintings on this channel. It's really old, it doesn't have a voiceover. I'll put a link in the card. It's a fan art of Steve Aoki, who's a DJ. That was, I think, my second successful attempt at overpainting. It's like 2 years old. I think it might be over 2 years old. I'm not quite sure, but it feels like forever. But now overpainting is like a decision I can actively choose to make. This is yeah, I won't do line art and I'll overpaint things and I'll render it. Once upon a time, I felt like I didn't really have the patience to do overpainting, because overpainting involves going over something you've already painted, hence the term overpainting. But I just felt like, what's the point of going over the same thing a million times if you can just do it once? And by once I mean line art it, base color it, and then shade it, and then use 1,000. There I am finally switching to CS4. You can see the difference in interface, and it doesn't look as appealing, but it works better, trust me. I'll go back into all the differences between CS4 and CC as soon as I'm done going over this overpainting thing. Yeah, so my thoughts in regards to overpainting was sort of like, I don't have the patience for that, and it's the precision. It ends up looking kind of sloppy. You can never get it perfect. But then I was also kind of chained to the idea where you have to keep everything super sharp and super within the lines. But now I'm more of the feeling of you don't have to keep things super sharp or super within the lines, as long as it's clear. And it's actually better sometimes if you don't keep things within the lines, if there's a little bit of a blur, so that way it looks more unified. That's what I think, at least. But I still love clipping masks, and I still love my lasso selection, I still love my liquify tools and all the benefits of digital art, don't get me wrong, but it's just I've warmed up more to the idea of overpainting. It does take patience, I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't feel like it's as much of a chore as it was at one point originally. And there's also a lot more freedom. You can add details willy-nilly instead of having to go through the process of like sketching, line arting, and then base coloring, and then shading, highlight, whatever. But okay, Photoshop, Creative Cloud versus CS4. Of course, Creative Cloud has the window that's your color picker. It also has like little hotkey buttons. It also has like it's easier to make selections, like it's smarter in general, it's a bit better optimized. But my biggest problem is, and it's really easily solved, I just haven't had the time to do it, the hotkeys. Usually when you're in your brush tool, your numbers 1 to 0, 1 being 10%, 0 being 100%, correlate to the opacity of your brush stroke, usually. The default in Photoshop Creative Cloud is that the numbers correlate to the flow, not the opacity. If you don't know Photoshop, this probably makes no sense, but the flow and the opacity are different. While they might give similar results, the opacity has to do with the transparency and the flow has to do with the number of times the brush copies itself when it's making a stroke, because typically a brush stroke in Photoshop is the same little kind of alpha, it's called, it's the same little brush design copied a set number of times to get a line. So if you copy it really close together, you're going to get a line from it, and if you copy it further apart, you're going to get like dots. And the flow, what altering the flow does, it sort of changes the transparency, but mostly kind of, in regards to my chalk brush at least, it makes the texture a lot more apparent, but it's harder to blend, because if I don't get the transparency of my brush, then it's harder to get the midtones that end up making the gradients that make the painting. And then the other things that bothered me about Photoshop CC is just these shortcuts that I made that I haven't set up in my Photoshop CC. So I make it, if I press function F1, it flips the canvas, and if I press function F2, it expands the selection, and I haven't set that up in Photoshop CC yet. So I'm still more comfortable in CS4. That's just the basics of it, and it's more close to what I'm used to in terms of how I have things arranged and stuff. I have to, you know, set my preferences up in CC a bit more. Like I have it in my school laptop set up close to what I'm used to, but not in my illustrating laptop. But anyway, this is basically the painting finished. I hope you liked it. You should check out Loish on Instagram. You should check out my Instagram if you're interested. I have links all in the description and stuff like that. Yeah, let me know what you think. Did you participate in this challenge? I really recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. If you want to link me to if you made a submission to the Draw This in Your Style, you might want to link it to me, and I'll see if I'll try drawing it. I don't know. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.